Hi, welcome to the Crafts Channel. My name's Corinne Brad, and today I've got another method for making a zipped pouch or a case, just like this, fully lined, any size you like, able to whip it up in a matter of minutes. And what's nice about this, the method of doing these pouches, you can do it with any type of fabric. There's some cotton here that I've pre-quilted before we sewed it together. This has been coated with Eau de Coat, so it's almost like a wash bag or a wet bag. And this one is a patchwork that's then been quilted. And as I say, they can be made any size that you like. They have a handy little strap so that you can pick them up easily, or if you're going away or you've got a belt or a sash or a certain piece of jewellery that you want to match with an outfit, you can just pop it in here, pop that over the hook of your coat hanger and keep it with your clothing. So we will begin. First of all, make the strap. Now this piece of fabric is 5 centimetres wide, that's about 2 inches wide, by 25 centimetres, which is 10 inches, is that right? 10 inches long. And what I've done is I've folded the sides, long sides into the middle, and then we'll fold it in half, and we would just top stitch, oh, machine was on anyway, top stitch all down that edge, so you've got a nice sturdy strap. And then once you've done that, what I would do, so you don't forget, is just fold it in half and just stitch those two ends together. Because when you come to sew them into the side of the bag, you want to make sure that both ends of the strap are caught. Because when you turn it the right side out, if you find that you've missed a bit, there's nothing worse because you have to unpick the whole thing. So I'm going to put the strap on top of my sewing machine because I always forget to put it in place. The next thing we work on is the zip. Now my zip here is 21 centimetres long, and I've got some strips of fabric that are about the width of the zip, and they were originally about 9 centimetres long, but what I've done is I've folded in the ends on both of them and just glued them down with a little dry glue stick. If you tuck these around your zip, this is another tip that I just want to speak to you about. Most zips have a metal end to them, as you can see here. If you run over that metal end with the needle of your sewing machine, you'll bend your needle. What I've done with this zip, and you possibly can't see it, is I've used pliers to take the metal end out, and then I've bound the end of the zip with thread, so that when I come to sew the end stops onto my zip, they can run over the end of the stopper without causing any damage, because I hate buying needles. Actually, that's a lie, I love buying needles, but I really shouldn't buy too many more needles. So we'll sew that just in place. And that's gone right over the end of the zip without any problem whatsoever. You'll also have metal bits at the top end of your zip. Realistically, I wouldn't try and take them off because they do come up, you know, you want your zip to actually stop before it hits the fabric. So again, just pin that over the end and just take care. Just going to move that so my needle position is a bit closer to the edge. Just take care as your foot goes over them, because they will be a slightly different level to the height of your fabric, and you might find there's a bit of a sticking point. Nope, that's gone over fine. So what that does, and the reason I put end stops on zips, is because it now means that you can sew the size of your bag without the zips getting in the way. So it's increased the length of that zip effectively to 25 centimetres. You've put another 2 centimetres on each end of it. So grab yourself a piece of fabric, which is 23 centimetres wide by 30, but it can be any size that you like. What I've done is I've strengthened this fabric with a bit of iron-on interfacing, but you can use quilted, you can use patchwork, you can use waterproofed. And then lay your zip upside down on the top edge of this bag, top edge of this fabric, and then take your lining fabric, which is exactly the same size, and place it over the top so the zip is sandwiched between the two of them, and then pin. And we'll sew all the way along here to join the 3 pieces. But before we do that, I'm just going to open the zip so that I can get a good long run of it and I don't have to put a zipper foot on. So go down as far as you can. Or 2/3 of the way down. Put your needle in the fabric and lift the foot. Put your hand inside and just close that zip back up again. So you can then carry on stitching it without that lumpy zip pull getting in the way. Right to the end. And then what you can do, always easier to do it at this step, is open out your fabrics like so and just top stitch that seam. It stops the lining getting caught up in the zip. Now you'll see that because this is one whole piece of fabric, there's no bottom seam to it. So what you need to do is open it like this, so you've got the lining one side, the main print on the other, and again sandwich that zip in between the lining and the outer. So measure it up so it's central. Just going to flip it over and pin it on this side so that I can open the zip to start with. Like so. And again, put your hand inside and just open that zip before you start to run this seam. About 2/3 of the way down, stop with the needle in the fabric, lift your foot up, put your hand inside and close your zip. And then carry on sewing that seam. And then you simply put your hand inside the outer fabric, pull it all the way through, so your lining's inside and your zip is along the top. And what I am going to do, which is a little bit trickier, is I'm also going to top stitch this side. But because the bag has no bottom seam, you're trying to sew a tube. So I'm going to pin it because I don't want things getting rucked up. And literally slip your bag over the bed of your machine. And it's tricky, you do have to manipulate things, you do have to bypass that zip pull. I don't know if you can see this, but fabric, the good thing about fabric being flexible is you can squish things and turn things so that you can run. Try and hold that flat so you can actually see what I'm doing. You can run a top stitch seam on the other side of the zip. Obviously, the bigger the bag you do, the easier this part of the project is. If you're doing a tiny little pouch, you know, like a change purse or something like that, it's virtually impossible, and in all honesty, I wouldn't bother doing it. It's purely to, I mean, if you press it, you'll find the lining should stay in place, but it's just one of those things, it just makes a neater finish on it. So, you have your tube bag. Now, what you could do with some of our previous bags, you could just sew it down the side so the zip's at the top. But I want to make this so it's more like a pencil case. So, I'm going to flatten, you turn it inside out because you're sewing down the insides. I'm going to flatten this so it's about 1.5 cm excess at the top. I'm also, before I forget, going to open the zip, otherwise I'll never be able to turn it the right way out. And then, if you just pin down the side where the zip pull is when it's open, actually it doesn't really matter which side you do this, personal preference. And before you sew the other side, take the strap that you've left on top of your sewing machine and tuck it in here. So that it lines up with your piece of fabric that's at the end of your zip, and pin it so that when you're sewing it together, you're incorporating that wrist strap, hanging strap if you like, all at the same time with the same seam. Pin your fabrics together. Now, the only drawback with this bag is obviously you don't have an enclosed seam on your lining. There are methods of doing it, but no one ever sees the inside of your makeup bag. No one ever sees the inside of my makeup bag. It's too horrible to contemplate. What you would do is once you've sewn that seam, take your scissors, trim up the seam allowance, pop your rubbish in the bin, and then switch to a zigzag and overlock it. And really what you want to do is you need to line up this seam edge, or not the seam edge, yeah, the edge of the fabric to the centre of your foot, so that as you sew, the thread actually goes right over into nothing and it binds the edge of the fabric. It just makes a much neater edge. Turn your machine back to a straight stitch and sew exactly the same way down the other side. trim it up. And whenever I make these bags, I always cut myself a little bit more fabric than you actually need, because you can always cut stuff off. If you've made something too small, you'll struggle to cut it back, put it back on. I'm just going to stop there because I've noticed that I have a piece of thread, a bit of fluff building up above my needle, which is going to cause me problems in a minute. Let's just re-thread that needle. Can I just give all my praise to whoever it was that invented needle threaders on sewing machines? They have saved my life. And bind that again with a zigzag. Cut off all those horrible little ends of threads, including that one there. And then quite simply turn your bag or pouch or case the right way out. See, your strap is fitted into the seam. And just push those corners out with the closed blades of a pair of scissors. And there you have it. And the interfacing, it's like a medium weight iron-on fusible interfacing that I've put in this bag. Just gives it a little bit more structure. Ooh, more ends of thread that I've missed. So you've got quite a sturdy little pouch. Again, as I say, in any size that you desire. And it takes minutes. You know, probably the most difficult thing is cutting the fabric out and making that strap in the first place. So I hope you enjoyed that project. I hope you're going to make a whole stack of these for your holiday or Christmas presents, or, you know, make them out of oilcloth fabric. You can have them as kids' reusable lunch bags. That's all for us today. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope you will join us again soon, and I hope you have a good look through our library at all the other videos that we've done for you over the years. We appreciate you. I hope you appreciate us, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. If you've been inspired to create, please share your makes with us in the comments section below. And if you've enjoyed videos by the Crafts channel, hit the like button. Want to see more of us? Then click subscribe. See you next time.